we are again at Tukbok Davao. What a joy. It's only a few months after our previous trip, and I never thought of returning after such a short time. While going through the road from the airport of Davao to the mission, I had the perception that this place belongs to me, that it has deep roots in my heart. It just felt like coming home. It is really extraordinary, relishing the scents of spices, drinking with eyes the colors of nature, and the characteristic sounds that make each place a unique sight. Everything seems friendly. The jubilant voices of the children with whom we interact in Home for Children, Padre Pio, were even more extraordinary. By now, I know them all, and kissing and embracing them, I pronounce their names one by one, and that makes them even happier. The hugging is brief because immediately their music teacher gives a sign. All of them will take their proper position, ready to perform a welcome concert. There is celebration in the air, so the wave of emotion takes me by surprise, and my tears mingle with the rain coming down copiously. It seems paradoxical that even the sky participates in our gathering. I watch the children while they are playing. Studying their faces, I realize how special and lucky they are. Their eyes did not transpire any sadness or horror from the violence suffered in the past. Here in the mission home, they are safe, thanks also to some generous Italians who supported us. In the following days, together with the sisters, we established an itinerary that will help us visit those places that, for the brevity of the first journey, we were unable to see. Moreover, as a correspondent of Onlus, my task is to collect images of what has been achieved so far with the funds raised in Italy and make a record of any new priority request for help. I remember that before leaving, I felt much the weight of responsibility for what I had to implement in the Philippines. I mentally prepared an action plan in order not to leave out anything, just like a reporter who has to give a statement of every detail. When you are in such places, you become so much involved that you cannot be a spectator anymore, but a carrier of love and sharing. You establish with those who face suffering such a union that while embracing them, you find no proper words, but intangible exchanges of mutual belonging. There is neither a giver nor a receiver. Rather, we become gifts to each other. I think God loves us in the same way. Through experiences over time, I discovered something in me that penetrates the depth of my being. When you really immerse yourself, pain, loneliness, and the hunger of others become yours, and they pain you. If this occurs because of chaste love, you inexplicably encounter Christ in every creature. So was the meeting with Carlito, a man aged 49, who has been paralyzed for 5 years due to a spinal cord fracture while doing his job. I found him huddled on a bed in a dilapidated house with no doors or floor, only 4 walls of lime, which his helper lovingly covered with pieces of cloth. The first thought was to compare him to Christ taken down from the cross. No word comes from his mouth, because he is prevented by the ailment, only grimaces full of pain to indicate that his limbs need to be straightened. What impressed me are his eyes. His eyes, yes, they speak, of course. A special light of quiet resignation turns them on. The expression of his eyes questions the roots of my conscience where his request reaches. His need for help, against which you find yourself unable to fight, puts you right in front of your responsibilities. I would have wanted to escape, but by then his eyes had pierced my heart. Thus I stood as if my feet were nailed to the ground. While I smiled and called him by name, the words of Jesus came to my mind. Do you also want to leave me? Love one another as I have loved you. And also, whatever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do to me. Having noticed in his thin hands a rosary, we spontaneously recited for him the prayer very dear to the Blessed Virgin. Then comes the time to say farewell to Carlito. And Carlito, joining his hands together, he looks up to the picture of Our Lady placed over his head, utters a sigh, and then looks at us one by one as a token of gratitude. We ensure his daughter-in-law our help, involving also a physician, the guardian angel of our mission, Dr. Izagire, to help with medicines and the necessary treatment. We leave Carlito, but we will continue to be there for him in every way. Other encounters, other stories fill the day. Important stories of daily pain or hardship. The point is always the same: request for help. The list is really long, and the more I immerse myself in this reality, the more I discover that there are many types of hidden poverty. For example, a private institute for rehabilitation from diverse disabilities like paraplegic, autism, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophies, etc., built many years ago for political purposes, is now inefficient due to lack of funds. The patients are normally young people or children, and their parents don't have economic means to ensure their rehabilitation fees for every single assistance. The cry for help reached the sisters also. They will cut down from whatever they have in order to share with them. And what about the shacks scattered in the forest where life means only recovering a bit of food and nothing more? We venture with caution in an inland area in search of needy children whose story reached us. One of the charismas of the Sisters, Apostles of Jesus Crucified, is searching for the crucified Jesus hidden and forgotten in those who are suffering, in order to give them the Word of God as well as material help. Do you also want to leave me? This takes us to a small cluster of huts. There lives a 15-year-old girl. Half of her face is disfigured by a burn, and she limps because of a severe dysplasia of the hip. She lives with distant relatives since her mother abandoned her, and nobody knows who her father is. The air we breathe is that of obvious contempt, which her relatives do not even try to disguise. It is clear that they consider her an unnecessary burden, just one more mouth to feed. They don't even attempt to hide the joy of getting rid of this creature. She, instead, is very happy to come away with us. Only the time needed to prepare the necessary documents, 2 days at most, and we can welcome her in the mission. Do you also want to leave me? Another stopover in the forest. Here we encounter a small village. In an instant, people gather around us. We make inquiries, and they show us a family of 10 children. Their father died of the bite of a killer mosquito. We speak with the mother. We want to help her raise her children. She presents all of them, but particularly she wants to entrust us with the last 2 girls. Even for them, it will take the time necessary to prepare the documents and receive them in the mission. The tour continues, because with the help of God and our benefactors, we can give accommodation to some other little children. So we go to another area. Here we meet 6 motherless children. The last childbirth was fatal. Only the child, who is now 3 months old, survived. We speak with the father, offering our help. He seems very sad at having to let go of the last 2 girls. We see him cry. He understands, however, our zeal and the possibility that at least 2 of his children can live decently. Anyway, he cannot do much for them, since an accident at work crippled him. In any case, he can always visit them every day. Do you also want to leave me? The arrival of these 5 new little guests is a time of celebration for everyone. I have never seen the sisters so happy. Great is my joy, and I also think of all the people who in Italy are building with their support the future of these rising men.
Beati i poveri in spirito, perché di essi è il regno dei cieli. Beati gli afflitti, perché saranno consolati. Beati i miti, perché erediteranno la terra. Beati quelli che hanno fame e sete di giustizia, perché saranno saziati. Beati i misericordiosi, perché troveranno misericordia. Beati i puri di cuore, perché vedranno Dio. Beati gli operatori di pace, perché saranno chiamati figli di Dio. Beati i perseguitati per la causa della giustizia, perché di essi è il regno dei cieli.
Finally, the day to visit the land that the AGC sisters were able to buy, thanks to copious donations, arrived. We are all there, sisters, guests, and children. We are all packed like sardines in 2 vans. After a short trip, I set foot on the promised land. I am so proud to belong to that handful of people who, with extraordinary courage and generosity, expended themselves profusely for this project. I witnessed the great mercy of God and realized that when His projects meet with those of man, miracles happen. Graces shower down like rain. Nobody would have thought that after 7 months, the cost of the land would be paid totally. And you can now watch the abundant harvests of corn, vegetables, fruits, carefully planted by the children and the sisters with the help of the people from the village. The neighbors are very happy to help too, because Biao, the farmland, is far from the city. Many children who live in the wild, lonely old people who do not know how to move on, could find shelter and support when we build the mess oratory, and also when they will be advantaged by the medical clinic for the treatment of recurrent emergencies. By the way, the legal permissions are ready. What a long way to go yet, but the courage that gives hope is not lacking. We need every drop of solidarity that flows from generous hearts. As we sing, we move towards a small hill, from which you can see the vast extent of the land. The children run around happily, and they are very careful not to trample the small plants. There comes the time for a snack. Time to play. And then it is time to pray. Sitting on the grass in front of a small valley, we recite the Holy Rosary for all the benefactors. There is silence all around. In the air, you only hear one Hail Mary after another. It seems as if the whole creation is filled with this prayer. The time to leave approaches. While coming down the hill, I admire again the large extent of land where we hope that our buildings will rise one day. Every cloud of this ground bears a name, and with the eyes of my heart I see thousands of names chasing one another like the sea waves of solidarity. Knowing that among these names are ours, that is, yours and mine, enlightens the spirit. My gaze meets the picture of Don Nicola la Terza, which we purposely placed among the corn plants as a symbol of our project, which will be dedicated to him. I recall his words: faith is safety in the darkness, not sentiments but knowledge. It is not emotion but conviction that is expressed through works of charity. Strengthened by this, we have to move forward, putting also faith and hope in the many generous brothers who has helped us so far. The realization of this project will be the bridge between heaven and earth, between men and God, because we have answered Jesus' question, do you also want to leave me? From this trip, I learned to treasure in my heart like precious jewels all the stories, tears, smiles that were delivered to me by all the friends that the Lord granted me to encounter. To whoever raised this, I leave the words of an Italian song that the children wanted to learn. Give thanks to him who is holy. And may the poor say, I am rich. And may the weak say, I am strong, for that which the Lord has done for me, for you.
Grazie Italia! Viva!
The story of these children and that of others that are yet to come belongs to those who contributed to the realization of this project. Let us not leave them alone. Thanks.